Wine had just curled up on her couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring blankly at her TV screen. The movie she had picked was playing, but she wasn't really watching it. Her mind was somewhere else. She hated to admit it, but for the past hour she had been replaying the elevator moment in her head. The way Jungkook had looked at her when she grabbed his arm, the way his usual teasing had dropped for just a second, replaced by something real. It was unsettling. He was unsettling. A sigh left her lips as she decided she needed sleep. But just as she stood up, there was a loud thud from the backside of her apartment where she lives alone. She froze because the sound came from the balcony. Her heartbeat quickened. Slowly, she turned her head toward the glass door. The curtains were practically drawn, the outside night making it hard to see clearly. But then another thud was heard, and it was clear that someone was trying to break in. Her mind raced. She quickly grabbed a nearby lamp, holding it up like a weapon. Then she slowly walked toward the balcony and yanked the curtains open, and she nearly had a heart attack. Jungkook, she shouted. There he was, standing outside on her freaking balcony, looking like a smug. She gawked at him. What the hell are you doing here? He tilted his head as if the answer was obvious. Jungkook, climbing. Climbing? Fine asked. He gestured towards the side of the building and said, Jungkook, your security isn't great by the way. Pretty easy to sneak up here. Fine groaned, dragging a hand down her face. Fine. Oh my god, you're insane. Jungkook smirked. You say that like it's new information. She hugged, crossing her arms. Okay, fine. Why are you here? Did you miss annoying me that much? He leaned against the glass railing, gaze suddenly serious. Jungkook. Actually, yes. Her breath hitched slightly. His voice was lower and softer now. It was a tone she wasn't used to hearing from him. Jungkook sighed, running a hand through his hair, and said, Look, I. He hesitated. This is going to sound ridiculous, but he looked in her eyes and said, I missed your wine. Her stomach flipped. What? Jungkook chuckled under his breath, shaking his head. See? Ridiculous. Her heart was pounding now. He looked different. Exactly the way she was wondering how he would look like if he confessed her. She too wanted him to confess, but then she remembered his usual annoying self and got angry again. But now that she looked in his eyes, there was something that was exactly as she wanted him to be. Fine swallowed. You're kidding, right? Instead of answering, Jungkook stepped closer. Before she could react, his hand gently cupped her face, and then he kissed her. It wasn't rushed or playful like she might have expected. It was slow, deliberate, like he was making sure she understood exactly what he meant. By the time he pulled back, Fine was breathless. Fine. What was that? Jungkook exhaled sharply. Now, do I look like I'm joking? Her heart skipped a beat at the question, and the way he looked at her, as he asked her. He took a slow step closer. Jungkook. I don't know when it happened. I don't know how it happened. But lately everything feels off when you're not around. She looked at him for a few seconds as she wondered how he was saying the exact things she wanted to tell him. Then she groaned, turning away. Why? You pick now to confess? Jungkook stepped closer again and asked, would you have listened any other time? She bit her lip as she knew she wouldn't. Before she could answer, he leaned in again, his voice softer. Say something. She sighed and looked away as she hesitatingly said, maybe I missed you too. His grin widened. He was about to say something, but before that, he heard a strange noise. It came from Ryan's stomach. He looked at it in awe, and she embarrassingly put a hand on her stomach. Jungkook, you're hungry? He asked tiredly. She didn't say anything, which made him sure that she was hungry. Jungkook, stupid, why didn't you eat? You ruined the moment. It took so much courage to finally be able to say it, and you forget it. Wine punched him on his stomach. Fine. Stupid? You should blame yourself. After seeing your ugly face the whole day, I was so nauseous I couldn't eat anything. Jungkook's mouth widened. Jungkook, me? Then why are you hungry now, when I'm with you? Wine opened her mouth to say something, but she didn't have any more words. She turned on her heels and walked away, saying, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Jungkook, where are you going? Answer me first, he said, walking behind her. It was well past midnight, and the apartment was quiet, except for the faint sound of cabinets opening and closing in the kitchen. She pulled open the fridge door, eyes lighting up when she spotted the plate of leftover cake she bought yesterday. Fine. Hello, beautiful, she murmured, reaching for it. Just as her fingers grazed the plate, Wine also heard a strange noise, and this time it came from Jungkook's stomach. Her mouth was opened as she was about to eat a bite, but it stopped right there in the air as she stared at Jungkook. Fine. What happened now? Are you hungry? Jungkook. Shut up. While trying to confess you, I used up all of my energy. It's your fault, he said and got up from the chair he was sitting on, reaching towards the cake. Jungkook. Give me some too. Before he could get some, she pulled the plate away from him. Not so fast, Wine said smugly, holding the plate close to her chest like a prized possession. Jungkook looked at her, his eyes narrowing. What are you doing? Wine. What does it look like? She said, grabbing a fork from the counter. Wine. I'm about to eat my cake. He scoffed, crossing his arms. I know it's your cake, but it wouldn't hurt to share some, don't you think? Fine. That's just your opinion. Jungkook took a slow step towards her, his gaze locked onto the cake. Jungkook, you don't even like sweets that much. Wine took an exaggerated bite, eyes fluttering shut dramatically. Wine. I do, but it's your favorite dessert. Jungkook sighed, shaking his head. You're evil. Wine. I know. She smirked, and without warning, Jungkook lunged forward to get the cake from her hand. Hey! But Wine squealed, dodging him as she ran to the other side. Wine. Don't even think about it. Jungkook leaned on the counter, smirking. Jungkook. Give me a bite, and I won't have to resort to extreme measures. She narrowed her eyes as she asked, what kind of measures? A slow, mischievous smile spread across his face. I could tickle you. Her eyes widened. You wouldn't dare. Jungkook. I wouldn't? He stepped closer. She tried to back away, but he was faster. In a flash, his hands were at her waist, fingers pressing into her sides. Jungkook, no. She shrieked, nearly dropping the plate as she twisted in his grip, laughing uncontrollably. Jungkook, give me the cake, he demanded while tickling her mercilessly. Fine, never. She gasped between laughter, trying to escape. Jungkook managed to pry the plate from her grip, but in her flailing, the forkful of cake she was holding smashed right against his cheek. For a second there was silence, and then Vine burst out laughing. Jungkook stood there, cake on his face, completely unimpressed. Jungkook, are you proud of yourself now? Very, she giggled, wiping away tears. He grabbed a napkin, wiping his cheek, then eyed her with a glint of revenge. She took a cautious step back. Fine, Jungkook, let's be mature about this. He dipped a finger into the remaining cake, then smeared it right on the tip of her nose. Wine gasped. Wine. Oh, you're dead. And just like that, his confession night escalated into a full-blown fight, complete with uncontrollable laughter in a kitchen that would take hours of cleaning. But neither of them cared.